Imagine being on the set of one of the most impactful films in history. Everything seems normal until, suddenly, inexplicable events begin to occur. Actors struck by lightning, real wounds reflecting the suffering of Christ, and even unexpected conversions. But beyond these mysteries, there is a hidden message in the Passion of the Christ that few have noticed, and it could change your perception of the film forever. When Mel Gibson decided to direct this film, he did so with a clear objective: to portray the suffering of Christ as realistically as possible. But what no one imagined was that the story being told on screen would begin to manifest in the reality of the set itself. From the start of filming, the actors and crew experienced a series of strange and inexplicable events. Jim Caviezel, the actor who played Jesus, was not struck by lightning just once, but twice during the shoot. As if that weren't enough, he suffered a dislocated shoulder while carrying the cross and was even wounded by the whips during a flogging scene. All of this happened while the assistant director was also struck by lightning. Coincidence or a sign of something greater? But the real mystery emerges when analyzing the spiritual transformations within the team. Luca Leonello, the actor who played Judas, was a declared atheist before filming. However, after experiencing the set firsthand, he ended up converting to Christianity and baptizing his children. Pedro Cerrubi, who portrayed Barabbas, recounted that when he looked at Caviezel in the role of Jesus, he felt that it wasn't an actor staring back at him, but Christ himself. He said Caviezel's eyes reflected an inhuman mercy and love, something he had never felt before. While most people focus on the film's rawness and explicit violence, few have taken the time to reflect on its true intention. Mel Gibson sought more than just telling a story. He wanted to convey a transcendent message about sacrifice and redemption. Every scene, every blow, every drop of blood had a purpose: to make the viewer feel, even for a moment, the magnitude of Christ's love for humanity. But what is most surprising is the connection between the events on set and the film's message. As if the story itself were reminding us that what we see on screen is not just a depiction but a reflection of something greater and real. Some crew members claimed to have seen figures dressed in white on set, offering advice and then disappearing without a trace. Others said they felt an inexplicable energy that made them reflect on their own faith. Even a Muslim production manager ended up converting to Christianity after working on the film. Jim Caviezel himself confessed that this experience changed him forever. He said he didn't want people to see him but rather to see Jesus through his performance. By the end of filming, his body was so exhausted that he had to undergo 2 open-heart surgeries. Mel Gibson mentioned in several interviews that making this film was a true test of faith. The obstacles they faced weren't mere accidents but challenges that strengthened their commitment to the story they were telling. It's impossible to ignore the number of inexplicable events surrounding this production. As if a higher force were guiding the process, as if every obstacle were a test of faith. The question that arises is, could it be that this film was more than just a cinematic work? Could it be a tool meant to touch the hearts of millions and awaken a message the world needs to hear? The testimonies of those involved in the filming reflect that the movie didn't just impact audiences, it also profoundly affected those who worked on it. Caviezel claims that playing Jesus allowed him to understand Christ's sacrifice and devotion on a deeper level. Pedro Cerrubi changed his perspective on life and his role in the world after portraying Barabbas. And many others, regardless of their religion, found themselves confronted with questions they had never asked before. The Passion of the Christ was more than a movie, it was a transformative experience for everyone involved. And perhaps that was its true purpose. Years have passed since the release of The Passion of the Christ, but its impact remains alive in millions of people around the world. It's not just a film you watch once and forget. It's an experience that leaves a mark on the hearts of those who have seen it. Many people have shared testimonies of how this movie made them reflect on their lives, their faith, and their relationship with God. Some have said that after watching it, they felt a calling to change their lives, to seek God more deeply, and to live with a clearer purpose. Jim Caviezel, in later interviews, spoke about how portraying Jesus taught him life lessons he never imagined. He said he felt Christ's physical suffering in a way that marked him forever, but he also experienced a love so profound that it changed him from within. The story of Jesus is not just an ancient tale, it continues to transform lives today. And this film, with all the mysterious events surrounding it, seems to have been part of a greater plan, a reminder that Christ's message remains powerful and relevant. Every blow, every wound, every tear in the film has a purpose, to remind us of what Christ did for us. It's not just a story of suffering but one of love, sacrifice, and above all, hope. Throughout history, there have been many films about the life of Jesus, but none have managed to convey his suffering and love as raw and real as the Passion of the Christ. Because it's not just a movie, it's a testimony. A testimony that faith is not just words but action. That the love of Christ is not just a story but a living truth that continues to transform lives. When Mel Gibson decided to make this film, he knew it wouldn't be easy. But what he never imagined was the number of obstacles, attacks, and difficulties he would face. From the threats he received before its release to the censorship in some countries, it seemed that someone, or something, wanted to silence this message. But the truth cannot be silenced. And despite everything, the film became a global phenomenon, touching hearts in every corner of the world. Beyond the inexplicable events on set, there is something even more powerful: the lives changed after watching it. Thousands of people have shared that after seeing The Passion of the Christ, they felt something inside them, like a veil had been lifted, allowing them to finally understand the true meaning of Jesus' sacrifice. Some have wept like never before, others have felt an unexplainable peace, and many have made the decision to dedicate their lives to God. There are testimonies of people who, after watching the film, left addictions behind, broke free from destructive habits, and chose to start a new life with a renewed purpose. We are not talking about just another cinematic production. We are talking about a tool for spiritual transformation. Today, we live in a world where faith seems to be fading, where values are in crisis, and where many people feel empty, without a clear purpose. But the message of the Passion of the Christ is more relevant than ever. It reminds us that true love is not just words, but sacrifice. That hope is not lost, but more alive than ever. That, no matter how broken we are, there is always a path to redemption. Jesus did not come to this world to condemn us, but to save us. And his sacrifice was the greatest act of love in history. This is the message the world needs to hear. This is the message you've received today. Now that you know all of this, there's a question only you can answer. Will you ignore this message, or will you share it with the world? If something inside you has felt the impact of this story, if you feel this message should reach more people, then act. Share this video with someone who needs it. Leave us a comment about how this movie impacted your life. Subscribe for more content that will transform the way you see the world. This is not the end, it's just the beginning. See you in the next video. God bless you.